What's up, everybody? I'm just gonna get straight into it. This morning, woke up, took my medicine. Day 2 of quitting tobacco, alcohol, and prescriptions that aren't prescribed to me. The prescriptions part, I never really had a problem with. Alcohol, I had a problem with, but that was while my uncle was still alive, and we were both functioning alcoholics. And when he stopped drinking, I stopped as well. Started smoking weed instead, and that's when I started experiencing all these changes, because I think when you change enzymes in your liver, say if you've been drinking for 5 or 6 years, I drank for about 5 or 6 years, didn't smoke any weed. I went about 8 years, no weed, period. I was clean. I worked all the time. I worked not with my uncle, but side by side. I mean, in the sense that he would go to work, I would go to work. We would make our way through the week. I'd shoot text with him back and forth. And then by the time Friday came around, he'd hit me up and say, "Hey, what are you doing? Meet me up over here." Boom, boom, boom. Fly over there, throw down some beers, go to another place, throw down some more beers, go to another bar. By then, I'm already about, I don't know however many ounces, freaking, let's see, like, basically 8 or 9 beers in every time. By the time the night ends, we'll go back to his house, take a couple shots, because his thing was vodka. And my thing was always drinking beer. So I'd drink beer, I'd go to his house, and boom, take those shots, keep slamming them down. And every week, and sometimes even during the weeks, this would take place. He would hit me up, "Hey, where you at? Let's stop for a quick one." Boom. Come some days, it would be just normal drinking. Other days, it would be weekends. It would be a weekend cruise. And on the cruises, you just fucking lose it. As far as drinking. Like, those 8 or 9 drinks turn into probably like a 20-pack of beer, volume-wise, for the day on a cruise. Like, your liver's just taking a toll when you have alcoholism in your family. I don't know what kind of damage I've done, but I know that I've had to have done some damage. Usually I kept a pretty good diet, other than towards the end. And when I say the end, I mean the end of what was normal life to me before I had my first psychosis and manic episodes. And so today I'm working on those three things. Not even working on them. I'm giving them to God because God's working in me. When you give it to God, He takes away the work, and He's taking those away. So I'm celebrating those three things that I've added to my overall mental health, which is celebrating day 2. So that's what this video is about. I kind of got into the whole background info on the whole alcoholism and how my uncle is no longer with us. He's no longer with my family in California, and for whatever reason, his alcoholism and his use was congruent with the way that I live my life, because he taught me a lot of positive things. Even being a functioning alcoholic, he taught me a bunch of motivation, like motivation that my dad's taught me motivation. It's been more of like a biblical motivation. My dad's fought alcoholism too, so it's both sides. But when you combine, two genetics together, you never know what you're gonna get. And also, when you include drug use at a young age, when you're working out, when you're moving places, there's so many things that can affect the way that your body grows and receives information. I was jostled around a lot. My genetics, now I'm super what would be perceived as lazy, but this place where I live right now is a step up from the homeless shelter. So I'm growing. I'm seeing doctors for the first time since the episodes, because before, once I started smoking weed again, I didn't stop. Didn't want to do the doctor's thing. I was internalizing a lot of pain of losing my uncle, who was a best friend to me, and he was my motivator. He was everything. And it really was that one day, I wish you guys could have met him. I wish my 4 or 5 viewers could have met him. But it's a lot to take in, and your body, like I was saying, when you change the enzymes, you change how your body interacts. And when I started smoking weed, boom, my brain, whatever drugs I used that sent me into a manic way of living, boom, I finally came down. It was like I was on a 9-year high, and I came down. And I've been diagnosed schizophrenic, you know, whatever these labels are ways of us communicating with our doctors. And so they have like manic, like when you're like everything, like your frequencies like super, your nerves, you can't calm them down, your heart rate's going, boom, that's manic. So there's a lot of different things, but that manic state, I feel like I was in a sense of panic, and it was due to chemically induced factors. It wasn't purely my uncle, but the fact that I was going through something mentally at a young age, around the age of 20, like 19. I had taken a substance and it left me in a state of mania. So once I started receiving information, I was stuck in a manic state and told to not smoke weed, as weed being bad for you, as far as it makes you lazy, it makes you not want to work, this and that, all the bad things that like parents will tell you about weed. So in a manic state of life that I was living in, that I was stuck in, because something happened when I used this substance, I used it to my advantage. So I was like, okay, well, I'm naturally a lazy person, but now I can process things quickly. I don't know why, but I'm going to go with it. So all the information that my uncle was throwing at me, it was like darts on a dartboard. He would be like, Christian, boom, pew, do this, and you'll be successful. Do this, boom, pew, and you'll be successful. Boom, this, pew, pew. So he would constantly. So I was getting all my darts from my uncle. Well, that dartboard was actually a computer that I had, and he would throw me information, and my brain was wired to receive it. I would throw it on the dartboard, and that was that. So I get to the point where my uncle's about to pass away, and for the 7 or 8 years I was working, my dad was running at a very low frequency. Well, when you have a family member at a low frequency and you're operating at a high frequency, there's a reason why he was depressed. So it's like a psychological mindfuck. Because as soon as my uncle passed away, I was all fucked up. Because people associate things with who you hang out with and who you are. And based on who you are your relatives. And I only hung out with my relatives. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any other outlets. The only people I trusted was my dad and my uncle. So it's going to be real crazy how this plays out. But basically, I obtained the frequency of my dad after my uncle passed away. And now I have a very low frequency, low energy. I don't know. It was the weed. I don't know if it was the substances that I used. All I know is that I have today to celebrate that I'm giving myself to God, to take those things away, to celebrate those things, and I'm gonna play some music that when I did things that were successful, I'm gonna play that music so it reminds me that I'm still successful, even though I don't have monetary things, even though my physical body isn't moving at the speed of what's normal. And people look at you like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? This is that. You lose motivations in life. And losing my uncle is definitely a big motivation loss. And I just want to say shout out to everybody who's lost a loved one. Shout out to everybody that's gone through different mental issues for whatever reason. I'm explaining what my story is to get it off my chest, to get healing, to find interaction with other people who've gone through similar instances and figuring out how the brain works and stuff like that. So, enjoy your guys' day. Hope it's a good one. Operate at whatever frequency God has given you to operate for that day. And God bless. Talk to you later.